You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there, hey. Okay, if you all heard my last episode, I teed this one up a bit for you, and I kept that one shorter because this one is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. Expect that. It will be a wild ride, and it will be everything you need. Why? Because you chose to listen. Oh, your choices matter. Pay attention to them. Today, I am sharing an amazing conversation with my beautiful friend and yoga instructor, Kate Lawyer. And what can I tell you about Kate? Well, she is quite rebellious, like me. She doesn't look or act like what you might envision a certified yoga instructor to look like or speak like or sometimes even act like, which means she is perfect. Kate was one of the instructors at my local studio. I've been a bit vocal about the fact that it closed down very abruptly during COVID. Like, I had visited the studio that morning, and that evening I tried to schedule class for the next day, and my studio was no longer available in the drop-down list. I was so lost and confused. I know so many of us have experienced that over the past couple of years. I was just so lost. And that's how I felt as a practitioner, as a student. I can't imagine what the instructors went through. So when you hear Kate talk about corporate yoga, that's what I envision. You're going to hear her allude to this, and my take on it is that, this being corporate yoga, is that it is a Western philosophy focused on sameness, because that is what we do here in the U.S. We encourage everyone to pick a box to live in, and if you don't pick it, by God, we will tell you what box to sit in. And I loved that studio. I loved the instructors, and after several years of visiting, I knew exactly what to expect from each class and from each instructor. I knew the poses by heart. I could do them without guidance or verbal cues. By the way, this is not what yoga was designed to be. It wasn't created to be this circuit of sameness. It has always been meant to be a means for you to connect or reconnect with your body, your mind, body, spirit, your soul. And with that little tidbit of awareness, let me get back to Kate. Because, as I've already mentioned, she is rebellious as I am in so many ways. And what happened through this particular conversation is that we got to the end of our recording, and I was asking her if she has a bio she wants me to share, and you all should have seen her face. It's exactly the face I make when someone asks me for a bio or a headshot. The eye roll all the way to the back of the head. I am human. I am me. I do not always feel inclined to conform to your expectations. which is such a beautiful thing. And what I love about Kate, I love her light. I love her energy. We are a match. Others might not feel that connection. That is by design. That is who we are and how we are. And others, I'm using air quotes right now, and that doesn't make them wrong, might find her a little abrasive or a little wild or a little nonconformist, which again is freaking perfect. Kate shows up as herself. My earliest experiences with her as a redhead with wild wavy hair that she just piled up on top. She walked around the room in her full body, full sleeve tats, and she had jokes. Seriously, only the classes that Kate led would you hear laughter. Does anybody remember laughter? Throwback to that Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven concert version. Does anybody remember laughter? So I just thought she was a badass human from the start, and I started following her on social. Then she was diagnosed with breast cancer. It wasn't long after that she set up a blog on Facebook as a way to document her experience. We are going to talk about that. So I'm only going to mention that I was one of her earlier followers on that page, and I told her I wanted to discuss it today because it's so impactful. It is so very raw and real. One of her early posts was about seeking someone who could help her get creative with smoothies as she was going through treatment. And I raised my hand for that. And she countered with, you know what I really want is to go to Dallas for this annual thing at a boutique warehouse where you can get this clothing super cheap. That is, Kate, that is so freaking interesting. And I mean, think about that. It's like I signed up for smoothies and she was like, yeah, I'm not feeling that today. I'd rather go to Dallas and do this. And I went along with it. I did. And I loved it. I loved the entire experience. And as she said, when she pitched this to me, she said, the only catch is, and she prefaced this ahead of time, the catch is that there are no fitting rooms. You want to try shit on? You do it in front of everyone. And it's all only women, and you have to get out of your head. But it's such a great deal. Like, I don't want to spend too much time on that experience, but what I will say is that it was crazy and like nothing I've ever done, yet I am so glad that I did. Because by then, Kate had lost all of her hair from the chemo, and she was exhausted, and she was angry, yet she was still love. And I just want to express how much I love the fact that she walked around naked in a warehouse, unapologetically telling all the other women that she was going to display her breasts because she was quite certain they wouldn't be with her much longer. So I think that experience with her, which was about a half-day adventure because we stopped for lunch too, is as much of a bio or an introduction as you need. And I know every piece in my closet that came from that visit, and I honor and appreciate each one. Each one brings me joy because I remember how I was stretched out of my comfort zone. That's what our best teachers do. That's Kate. This is why I'm personally drawn to her. I asked her to have a conversation about yoga as a healing modality for trauma, as she is an expert in both areas. And we talked about that. We also talked about connecting with those who have opposing political beliefs. We're just putting it all out there, just like Kate did in that warehouse. Fuck it. What are we so afraid of? What other people think? Go on now. she's going to use language like Trumpster and libtard because the reality is that is the language that has been thrown around for years now. Prepare yourself for that. Maybe allow yourself to be okay with it. She's going to share her stories and her experiences, which is all I ever ask of anyone who agrees to be in this space with me. Kate is in this space with me. She nailed my vision for this conversation, and we didn't even do anything to prep for it other than a few text messages. That is what a soul level connection is. Let's do this. Welcome, my beautiful, beautiful friend, Kate. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my privilege.
Mine. The privilege is mine. What lights you up?
When I see the light come on in your eyes, and that's the human standing in front of me, right? When I see the light that was not there, all of a sudden manifest, there is a change that's happening. And I know that change, when embraced, is what we're aiming for. Like, we think we want to stay all comfortable in our, I can even just, since I'm a yoga teacher, I can always relate it back to that. We want to go to the same class, and we want to see the same people, and we want to do the same, right? I want to feel comfortable. I want what I need. I want, when that's happening, when it's all about the individual, when I see the light come on in your eyes, that it's not about you. And when we can get out of our routine, we start to get to see that. So when I get to align someone's body where I'm pulling a hip down and that sort of thing, there's a light that's going on there, right? It's a change that's happening, and it's out of the norm. And then we get to recognize all the feelings around that. Like, what does the change feel like? Like, all of that is what lights me up. Like, I'm getting all like crazy looking if you were looking at me, right? Where my hands go, and I'm talking, and my earrings are jingling, and all the things, right? Because when we are scared when we are fighting change. As human species, like as this human species, I don't know if I say it like that, but all of this, if I am fighting to stay the same, I am going to be angry. Because there's no winning.
Damn.
It'll change anyway.
You are just,
it don't matter.
We are just starting off like, whoa. So first of all, your response to that and talking about seeing the light in someone else's eyes, I'm welling up. I'm like, oh my God. Because it's like, it's the window to the soul, right? I mean, it's just a beautiful expression. My God, this is amazing. You've already touched on a couple of things yoga wise. I want to really deepen that conversation a little bit because I have had so many, several guests of late have talked about or touched on yoga as a healing modality for trauma. For example, and this entire podcast is not, the podcast itself is not trauma related, but we do talk about being human. We talk about what that means. We talk about the experiences that we've had. And I thought of you, Kate, because I was like, I need somebody to come on here and talk yoga, just yoga, and
well, I'm going to take over from there because that is my language, right? And it is what I was speaking to is been a journey to be able to recognize that the yoga that I did 10 years ago, where I was like the badass that was like heavy set, but like could do all the arm balances and triples and doing this and right. I mean, I was working for handstands, like I've done that, right? that's not healing to me anymore. So when some people in our society think of yoga, they go, oh my gosh, that's a hot room. That's a, being beat down by the heat and you're going to be exhausted and all of that kind of stuff. Well, that's great. I mean, there's a time and a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
The yoga that I have been participating in more has, in our Western world, the reason why I have to say this kind of yoga and this kind of yoga, because it kind of works itself out in the Eastern vocabulary. But in our world, when I bring breathing, and my favorite thing to talk about is a happy place. Okay. It's not a real position. It's not a real posture. It's not a real asana. It's a nothing. It's laying on your back. And I want you to lay how nothing hurts. Right. That's your happy place, right? And for some people, that just getting into that position, when's the last time you sat on the floor and got back up?
Actually, I'm sitting on the floor right now.
Yay, me too.
Yay. We both are sitting on the floor.
It's Sit on the floor Wednesday. It's Sit on the floor Wednesday.
I'm always seated on the floor in my studio. I mean, that is what I do.
Yeah.
Because I recently heard that that is such that there are other cultures that sit in the floor and we don't. Just like we have to invent freaking squatty potty because we don't do things like that. I know. I mean, but
I use one of those.
Yeah,
I've bought one twice now.
Well, yeah, no, I get it, but it's like because what we have done with Western culture is we have invented all kinds of things to have our bodies work. Not that our bodies are not in alignment, and so I've heard within the past year or so about the benefits of floor sitting, and so I actually do it daily. I do.
That's amazing,
and I love it. I love getting up after sitting cross-legged for a freaking hour and going, oh yes, everything still works.
Well, and you're sitting cross-legged for an hour, but the human body is supposed to move all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So I started with us. You said, what's lights you up? And I'm like, seeing the light come on. And sometimes the recognition that a yin posture, like a yin asana or something that you're staying in for 3 to 5, 2, 3, I don't want to ever you be in any yin posture longer than 5 minutes. Okay. That idea of like getting into something and then not letting your body move for a moment, but actually letting gravity sink you down.
Yeah.
We think that we know how to do that. The lesson is how to stay still instead of this, this movement. So us sitting here, our body's going to tell us that needs to move, and following that, right, and doing that thing will allow for your body to be able to know, oh yeah, that needs to happen before I can do this. And it'll start to get closer and closer and closer to where you can sit for 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's like so weird, but what we know, our body knows now is not what it knew 20 years ago. So our yoga has to change with that, right? So the trauma informed yoga, and then I do a Y12 SR, and which is 12-step yoga, recovery yoga. It follows in lines with the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. But that's
how does that now I'm very curious. I've never heard of 12-step yoga. How does that work?
Okay.
Yin I have. Let's back up and let's explain yin to the audience that that may or may not be familiar with that, and then that 12-step. I'm intrigued.
Absolutely. I would like to premise, if there are new people that are listening to this that might be like, okay, my doctor told me that yoga would be really good, and then you hear the whole oh, my doctor said it's not good to do yoga, I need to be doing Pilates. And you'll get this whole back and forth, or no, I just do weights, or I stretch on my own, or I'm not flexible enough. There's all these categories that us humans have kind of plotted ourselves in. I'm too fat. I don't look good in the clothes. I mean, you name it. I've heard it, right?
Yeah.
So if we kind of step into what we've just done for 2 years, going on 3 years, and then pull forward to now and what has changed everywhere else. Our minds have to change as well. And since they're changing, we might as well turn the corner to thinking that this word yoga is defined by any one of those individual things. Okay. When you say yoga, the word literally means unity. Okay. Yeah. So you're allowing, it means yoke, which is unity, right? The actual definition from Sanskrit is yoke. And when we start all those slots and we go, okay, wait a minute, we're going to remove all of that vocabulary and we're going to allow our bodies to recognize that just getting on the ground and getting into a happy place is allowing your body to rest in a way that you're not allowing it any other way. That is the difference, everybody, between your sympathetic nervous system, which is you drinking coffee, which is you going onto Facebook and hitting a like, which it is when you scream at a kid when they're trying to run across the street and you pull them back, right? It can be from the most extreme to the very, very small, a flashing of a light, right? Like a very minuscule thing. So this is all, so we get so accustomed to that over there that our body literally does not know how to go to from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's our downer. That's dopamine. That's the chemicals in our body that go, right? Yeah. Where it's like that water and flash dance coming down on you, right?
Oh my God, I'm visualizing that scene right now. Right? That's so good. Yeah.
And that we lose the path to that. Yoga is very simply finding that path again to where you're having a conversation rather than it just be one-sided and we wonder why we're exhausted and our body hurts and we spiritually can't connect with the book of the month club and all of that kind of stuff. This is on fire. We got to figure out how to do the dance again. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're picking out a new yoga instructor, when you're picking out anything like that, you just want to make sure that there's no extra rules. Right? Unless you're all about that. Like if you like rules and that's what you know that like you're good with, but I'm going to say most of us coming out of these 3 years, we're not too hip on people telling us what to do. Okay. Yeah. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Like we ain't happy right now. Okay.
Right.
And no human should be, right? Like this is a process. This is grief. This is channeling, right? Where are we going to have that stuff come out? Okay, so you look up, I'm going to go to yoga. Kate says it's good to go to yoga. Sunny says it's good to go to yoga. Doctors say it's good to go to yoga. What do I do? Okay, well, I'm going to go to my nearest, 24-hour fitness and I'm going to go to that yoga class. Okay, what you're walking into, a woman or man has their livelihood based on teaching a couple classes a day and then, moving on to the next thing. So anybody walking into that situation is not going to like it. None of us will, right? That's like, I don't know. That's like a creepy alley where you like pretty sure you're like, I don't know, your wallet may or may not come home with you, right? But you do it anyway. Like that just happens, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I'm clearly still alive, but like why didn't I follow that? So when that occurs, you recognize and go, wait a second. Yes, I need that, but that's not every kind of yoga. It's what they're talking about. And the doctors don't know yet is they're talking between the nervous system, the two sides. So yin segue is a kind, if it says on the list, right, you're like going down your little list at the place that the doctor sent you to go do yoga, right? And you come across something that says meditative yoga or yin, or, and that is Y-I-N, or, sorry, Western spelling is Y-I-N, Eastern spelling is Y-E-N. There's, the idea is Okay. So guys, that's the one that I say you don't stay any longer than 5 minutes. My friend Abby Leon, and you can contact me if you want her number. She is the most amazing yin instructor that I know. Like if anybody comes to me and says, Kate, I want to hire someone to do a yin class, I go, Abby, here's someone, right? Like I'm not your human for this, right? Yeah. In my opinion, a good teacher will tell you what their limitations are, right? But like when you relax your finger and then you let it relax enough to be able to move the joint, that's what yin is. It's working within the joint. So that's why you're staying in it for a long time, and then you're allowing the body to open to it. You're dealing with like Golgi tendons and all that kind of stuff. It's blah, 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 right? Science. And then if you look on your little list of the places that you go to yoga and you see like, oh, they're going to do a power flow. That's going to be something called a vinyasa, right? Newcomers, probably not your best start for needing that trauma informed or something that you're needing to feel better, right? Not straight off the bat. You're not going to go into that and feel great for 6 weeks, and that's going every day.
Yeah.
Right. You need to know, the public needs to know that us trained yoga instructors, we have so much to offer, that we have it to offer in 30-minute chunks where you go to your class, you go do your thing, go to that vinyasa class and do your 6 weeks in there so you can start to feel better, but you're going to start to have questions. And you come to me and say, Kate, this and this teacher's doing in this class. And I might be able to contact the teacher and find out what they're doing in the class. I know a ton of people, right? And I mean, I know some people.
Yeah.
And so I just like, and then I can work with your physical body for a certain amount of time. And then I send you back out to like, go practice, go do those things, right? But it's going to be the same thing with breathing. I had a client this morning, Kathleen, she's amazing. She just talks to me. She talks to me. Guess what? That's what she's needed, right? Like she's needed all the learning that I have had and all the schooling and all the divine universal gifts that I have been given to this moment. She needed that to pour into her cup, right? Just
Beautiful.
like
Beautiful.
the woman that talked to me yesterday for an entire hour of her day poured her cup of knowledge into me. That's the light.
Yeah.
My human got to see that.
Yeah.
Her human got to see, you know what I mean? Like that's where we're aiming. So if you're not finding that in your, 24-hour fitness yoga class, that is a yoga class. Don't dismiss that. The one that you take online that is from a girl in New Zealand, right? That is yoga. Because, right, we're removing all of those separated things. We're going to wipe those away. It's all yoga. It all counts. The girl doing handstands in the corner is doing just as much yoga as the girl that's trying to take child's pose, me, that can't get their ass to their heels. Right? It's the same yoga. When you go to your list, you're at the 24-hour. Know that there are teachers out there that we just want to let the light come on inside of you. And that's where your healing is going to come. You're going to come to me or whoever, a yoga teacher, get that 15, 20, 30, an hour, hour and a half, minutes of that time. And then you take that into your class and that's what you work on for that week. That's where you're able to take your own meditation spot, your own, like go into your own home, find the corner that you kind of thought was illegal to change the furniture in and move it around, right? Create that little space like you have for yourself in the corner on the floor.
Yeah.
The modalities and the kinds of yoga is endless. So I'm not going to go on that anymore. My message there is to make sure that, I know you wanted to talk about.
The 12 step. Yeah.
Yeah. It really, it's pretty cool. I think I borrow more from it than anything for my own kind of way, but you can, I'll send you the link for their main site and like any treatment centers. As yoga instructors, if you get certified in that, you can get paid. You can do it as a donation, right? If you were in the program as well, or whatever, right? Part of that community. And But for teachers that don't know about that, you can get certified and then get jobs with like, I'm just going to go with the big names, Betty Ford Center or
Right.
something like that, to where you would teach to them.
Mm-hmm.
But any of those treatment centers, you have an opportunity to be able to do that, because usually it's on donation base only.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I always like to blurt out opportunities for teachers to be able to make some money if they don't
Totally.
know. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, that let's do it. And I'm thinking too
Let's
is
let teachers and coaches make a living wage as
yes.
well, right?
Right? Right.
Please don't roll your eyes the next time I tell you that I'm $120 an hour. Please
I
don't
know.
tell me
Oh my God. Yes.
that.
Seriously. Seriously. I mean, I feel you on
Um,
that. And as you were talking through it, and as you were kind of explaining, as you were explaining the process and all of that, is like, oh, this is like coach. I mean, we're both coaches, right? I mean,
yeah,
you're a yoga coach, and I mean, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is just so very similar to the work that I do in terms of getting your cup filled and filling others' cups and what they need, and that kind of thing. And so I just love that you included that, because there are so many that I have heard, like, if I talk to friends that don't do yoga, or they don't or they don't want to do yoga, and they don't want to try it, because they say, well, I get so hung up on comparing myself to everyone else in the room. And I see you, like, you vigorously nodding to that. It's like that has to be a common theme, right? That
it's every human. It's every
it's what we do.
single person.
It's what we
It's
do.
what we do. And
Yeah.
it's what we've been taught to do.
Yeah.
We've been taught, I mean, on a very scientific level,
Mm-hmm.
we have been taught to go to the sympathetic nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
We have been taught to go to the pat on the back. We are Pavlov's dog.
Mm-hmm.
We have been taught to go to, when the bell rings, this happens. When the bell rings, this happens.
Yeah.
The only way to undo that is through it.
Yeah.
You have to see the damage it's happening in your life. Your eyes have to be opened. And unfortunately, it is painful.
Yeah. It
is awful. And it is not for, I mean, I'm just going to say it, if I could fucking throw on a Trump hat and like be like, hey, I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. But you know who I'm scared for is me 5 lives from now, right? Like, how much work does that human have to do in order to right the amount of crap that I'm doing here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had the best interaction with the Trumpster yesterday. I'm going to just tell you.
Yay.
Okay. So I pull up to my polling station. My sonny's like, yes, the stories, right?
Yes,
Life in Kate's land. Okay, so I pull up to, and this is one I haven't told, okay? So I pull up to the gay library. Okay, it's literally,
I know. Someone's last name.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Like, I'm like, we love the gays. I mean, it's like a thing, right? So
I always go to the gay library.
So I pull up to the library. I'm going to the gay library. I love it. So I pull up, and there's fucking people everywhere, right? And you like whatever, 100 feet in front of the polls, all the things, right? So I get out of the car, and there's this guy coming towards me. Okay, I'm sorry, nothing on my human body says Republican. Okay. Right. I used to vote Republican. I'm a pretty conservative idea. I have a lot, right? But like, nothing on my body screams that I'm going to say anything to this human standing in front of me. So I keep walking, and he is like, blah, 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 vote for me. I don't even engage. I don't even give him eye contact. Go in, I see the long line, and I was like, hey, everybody, because I'm just being me, right? There's 90 people out there, and I'm like, not that I'm trying to put time constraints on democracy or anything, but like, how long are we talking, right? And so a couple people started laughing, and and this woman was like, it's 15 minutes. And I was like, mom, like the momism, right? The churning. And I'm like, 15 minutes to do that, 15 minutes to do that, 10 minutes to do that. I'll probably see someone in the lobby. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, now I'm late to work, right? Like, I can't, I've already done that math. I got to go. I'm like, okay, I got to be back at the poll by 7. It's okay. I'm going to go to work, go to Lulu, go do the thing. I'm headed back to the car. People in front of me, they're walking, and I'm like, oh, I see him kick a piece of plastic on the ground. It's like a A&W beer, right? And I was like, that sucks. And I just reached down and picked it up, and I couldn't find a trash can, so I just put it in my car, right? Like, that's just what we do, right? That guy came up, knocked on my window, and was like, I wanted to thank you for picking up that trash. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't want this place to be a dump. Do you? And he was like, no, that I'm just letting you know that was really nice. And I was like, so we're agreeing on something?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're agreeing that we should pick up instead of start where we're like, and they're all dying because of war right now, right? Like there's literally a threat of nuclear war happening.
Yeah.
And I'm able to talk to you, this super Trumpster that's trying to get on our, whatever, our ballot, make him recognize we were agreeing. And I was making him recognize that I am from a different political party, and I still picked that trash up. And I didn't want anyone to say anything to me about it. And I didn't look behind me to make sure that someone was looking. I didn't give a fuck. I needed that piece of trash picked up off the ground. Of course, I had to start talking about the border wall, like immediately. Like that was my next sentence.
Oh my God. What? How did you know?
Oh yeah, I was like, fuck it. I'm going for it. Like, what's he gonna say? Right? Like I haven't heard it. I mean, we have the news on this morning, right? I got up at 5 and turn the news on. So I gotta know what I'm praying for. Right? Like I need to know if I don't know what I'm praying for, if I'm running from it, that's a problem.
That is a really, not to break your train of thought, but I love that. I got to know what I'm praying for today. Wow. That's some good shit. Okay. Continue. You talked about, you brought up the border wall right away.
Are you going to write my book? Because there's no way in hell I'll do it.
Sure.
I actually Googled ghostwriters the other day. I was like, is this a real profession? Like people choose to sit in front of a computer and like use their fingers to type shit. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so out. I'm like, that is someone else's job because there's no fucking way I could.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Trumpster guy is in front of me and I immediately go to the wall, right? And I was like, man, there's all this money that's gone to the wall and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, wouldn't you be pissed if you had bought a piece of property and then someone bought the property next to you and you built a fucking wall and you didn't have the view of the mountain that you had before? Would you be pissed? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, gosh. Because he began the conversation with like, oh yeah, I'm really into like the Everglades or something like that. And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't fucking live where there's Everglades. I live where there's like sand and dirt and tumbleweeds and shit. And we like our view. We like open plains. Yeah. And we like animals to be able to go back and forth. Yeah. I have an idea for you, dude. This is the last thing. This is my parting words to him. I was like, I have an idea. Why don't we ask them who own the land what they would like to do? Yeah. And then give them the money to be able to build whatever structure that each side agreed on of what to build. It could look different from each part of land to the other. We could actually make it prettier and more abundant for the animal and why, like, let's just have conversations. He looked at me and was like, what? I'm like, yeah, you got to ask different questions. Yeah. You're asking the wrong questions.
And have conversations. I mean, that's the thing too. Have a fucking conversation.
So I put it in reverse, backed out.
Yeah.
Closed up my windows. And then he walked off. And then as I was walking back, he's surrounded by all these Republicans, right? He's probably like, I just talked to a libtard over there, right? Yeah. And I rolled down my window and I'm like, you need to make sure you share our amazing conversation with every single human you come across today. That you talked to an extreme liberal and you got along and we agreed on something. You have to tell everybody. And he was like, okay, I will. roll window back up, and then drive off, and then roll window back down and vape.
I love it. Oh my
So that was
goodness.
my contribution yesterday to society.
Yeah.
Okay, I am a total like get off track girl.
Yeah.
We were just talking about like the books and stuff, and the reason, and I started to type like I know
Uh-huh.
the QWERTY back and forth, right?
Uh-huh.
And I realized you had mentioned cancer porn and other life events, and that's my
Yes.
Facebook
Yeah.
blog, and it's
Yeah.
public. Anybody can go to it, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, you did hear the words correctly. It is cancer porn. Two words nobody wants to say out loud, but literally it is touching every single human's life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so these two words come together, and then I put "and other life events" because I am a scatterbrain and there's no way I could stay one tracked on anything for any amount of time.
I love it.
So
Listen, when you set that up, I remember when you set that up and I was like, what a brilliant freaking name for a page, and I love that you also tacked on "and other life events" to just allow yourself to go wherever you want to go with it. But so you set that up when you were going through an event.
yeah, it was an event, and I would like to think it was an event and then it like ends
I
and then
know.
you
Yeah.
like start something else.
Yeah.
But that is not what has occurred. I'm not even sure if I'm okay with chapters or books or any of that crap yet. I, so what happened was I started this blog, when I was diagnosed with cancer. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in May of 2018. And so as I say that date, even just here, this is where cancer patients and people that have anybody that has something wrong with them, wrong, I have that in quotes if you're not watching me,
Right.
something that's wrong with you that you can't see,
Mm-hmm.
right? Something that's internal that we get to look good on the outside, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we're dying on the inside. That when I say that date, my shame says that it hasn't been long enough. Like I somewhere in there, like the time that I have had cancer is not, it's not lengthy enough for me to be able to speak on it or something.
Oh, good
It's
Lord.
just insane, right? I
And
mean,
isn't it crazy how your brain gets just
it's
offers
insane.
just
I
offers
just
that
said
as an option?
2018, and I'm like, that's not long enough for me to be an expert to know what I'm talking about.
Holy
Okay,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares that I'm actually
Yeah.
going through it, right?
Yeah.
So I started this blog, and there is the good, the bad, and the freaking ugly on there. I mean,
Yeah.
I am higher than a kite some days on there, just on painkillers galore. There's me sleeping some days. There is, I write a lot on it, and there's videos on there. But I really wanted to tell the truth of what happens in today with
Yeah.
breast cancer. Okay, I am totally appreciative of women that went through breast cancer 20 years ago. Different animal. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different animal. It just is. How they treat it, how you're treated as, I mean, thank God for Jennifer and the team that I got to see. In general, you're cattle. This is your infusion time. This is when you're going for radiation. This is when you're getting surgery. This is when your sex organs will be taken from you. This is when you no longer will look female. This is when, I mean, like,
Yeah.
who knew? I didn't know any of that, right? I didn't know that 5 surgeries later I would be concave, right? I didn't know that, but all of that stuff, because that's frivolous stuff. It doesn't seem like it. What I didn't know is that I didn't have to be the same person coming during it or coming out that I was to begin with.
Mm.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So during it and right until lockdown, basically, I was thinking that I needed to be my old Kate, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that bubbly, could teach 7 classes a day. I could never do that, but 5 classes a day and still take one, right?
Mhm.
Like, and have all this, like, I was also freaking, early 40s, and I was doing arm balances and doing all that kind of stuff. And I thought that that's what the expectation of life was for me, is to go back to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a girlfriend the other day. She was like, why are you were going to have a studio and do this, that, and the other? What are you still doing in your room?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what am I still doing in my room? Oh, wait, I like my room. Oh, is it okay for me to like my room?
Yeah.
Do I have permission to stay in my room? Like, I got to start asking myself what my answer was, not what I thought you thought my answer would be, but what my answer would be.
Yes.
So that has been a cool thing. And I'm able to send other humans that tell me that, oh, my sister has breast cancer. I'm like, okay, go to this blog.
Yeah.
And if you get through a couple minutes of it, you probably can handle it, and just contact me. So I've talked to several women over the last few years that are really lonely, and they don't know even, it gets down to like, what kind of hairbrush feels okay on your head, right? Yeah. What lip balm is good? What, and so, I mean, I just compiled lists of things that were given to me that I bought, and I've sent a couple $100 care packages out. If anybody wants that list that I've put together for someone that's going through, it's all on Amazon. Sorry, it's kind of a one-click thing and ship it away, but you know what? Yeah. Like, it might help them, right? So it's, what, it doesn't matter. I'll send you the list, the link to it, the Amazon list, but it's just like all different price points of different stuff to be able to purchase for your human that's going through cancer.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I mean, we had this conversation a couple of years ago in terms of just what it's like to go through it while you're going through it. So the fact that you documented that, I think, is absolutely flipping amazing. But we also talked about like the judgments of other people that came into play for you there. It's like you did something wrong to contract cancer, right? Yeah.
There is an innate, and since we're at war right now, I might as well just say it, right? Yeah. Cancer is Russia, right? Like, we're growing up in that age, right? Where our parents and like, so we're seeing cancer do this trickle in thing. That, what is cancer? Abnormal cell growth. That is literally the definition of cancer. Abnormal cell growth. We don't know what the fuck it is. You've got something growing in your body. Is it run by the heart, or is it run by, you know what I mean? Like, what's energizing it, right? So there's, you know what, Sunny, I just forgot what I was fucking saying.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Isn't that great? It was really fantastic though.
It's a beautiful thing. So it's also about, when reflecting on it, I'm just wondering, reflecting on the experience that you've had, because it was so very profound for you to have acknowledged, to have said this, that you had this expectation that on the other side of this, you would be able to go back to the person you used to be. Like, it's a thing. It's an event. There's an ending.
It is an event
when we go back.
And I did remember that we were talking about judgment. And I know that it was very cute how you just, and I'm going to call you out because it's a very good coach skill that she just did, if anybody noticed it. Us coaches can see it. She took me backwards to go forwards again. She made the topic broader for me to be able to get more narrow and a little bit more like vascular, right? Like, to be able to pump out, right?
To find your focus again. Yeah.
That's a little trick that just happened there for those of you that are listening. So we were talking about judgment, and like, you can't make someone be vulnerable. So that's what Sunny just did. So judgment, there is, because we're children of this generation of like this, like it's the evil thing. We've misunderstood it. So what we've done is we've just, we've taken care of the complications portion, right? We've said, oh, this is happening, your gut hurts, let's give you some, Pepto-Bismol to make that go away, right? It's all been about doing all of these after things instead of the before things. You're like, yeah, you're preaching to the choir, I get it, right? Take care of the body before, blah, 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 right? Well, that's not where we're at, right? There's 3% of the community that gets that. Even I get that, and I still do it, right? So through this process, I am going to actually say something out loud that I have not said before, other than to my husband and my therapist. I have had to go with struggles with pain where I feel like my pain is not enough pain for me to be able to say that I'm in pain. Like it's a pie or something.
Yeah.
And we've been taught it's a pie.
Yeah.
Just like cancer's Russia. Pain is a pie. It's 1 through 10. How do you feel today?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Are you asking me if I'm jumpy as fuck and I can't manage to concentrate on one single thing and I'm about to have a heart attack, it feels like? Or do my muscles hurt so bad that like whatever? Or is it bone marrow pain, right? You know what I mean? Like, but it's all 1 through 10.
It is all 1 through 10, but what is also coming to me as you're saying that, I'm like, holy shit, it's like being in a room full of people doing yoga and comparing yourself.
Yes.
It's exactly what it is.
That is what you're learning on the mat. Yes. You are physically, you just found the triangle, my friend. You are physically doing the asana. You are physically doing the base to train your body to talk to each other. You're getting in all these like weird positions for your toes to be able to talk to your fingers, right? So it talks all the way down. Those are called muscle trains. So, I mean, then that's all.
But what I love about it is that what I love about yoga is getting out of my head for a little while. I was very much as anyone else in the beginning. I was looking around the room. I was thinking, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do what she's doing and that kind of thing. And so what is really connecting for me, though, what is really landing is you talking about pain and not feeling, for lack of a better word, entitled enough to feel your pain.
No, you're entitled to feel pain. We must feel pain in order to change. Do you know that our receptors on our body, we're already at almost 80 to 90% when we feel pain? Yeah. We have very little wiggle room to actually do something about that pain before it's on the other side.
Wow.
Very little wiggle room.
Wow.
Our body actually allows us to have a certain amount of pain all the time, right? In order to be able to move all of its functions. So my personal pain after going through radiation and all the surgeries and everything, I have neuropathy so bad that like even me thinking about like texting someone, like drives do you know when your leg falls asleep, like you sit on your leg or whatever and you're like, oh my God, I gotta get up and like you like have that thing. Now imagine that going and happening. You're choosing it every time you touch your finger, touching something, a screen or pretty much any surface. That shards go all the way up. And then I get a little like neck thing right here, a tendon that squeezes so tight that it starts shaking. So I've had to take all these, I've been through the gabapentins, I've been through all of these different pharmaceutical drugs. Now I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous and have been for 13 years, okay? Pretty hardcore. like enough to where I know what my responsibility is as a alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone through all these drugs and everything. Literally, I'm saying this out loud for the first time, telling you that again. So I started to play with THC and CBD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I have to figure this out. Okay. So I've gone through now, I've been doing this path for a little while, probably 6 months. Now, what I've given up now, and then I've got my medical, I got my, actually today, I'll do my first pickup of legally being able to microdose THC. So
Mm-hmm.
I got my medical marijuana prescription for the state of Texas. So I
Sweet.
am legally doing this through the state of Texas. All the things. I got cancer written off by a doctor, 2 different doctors. It's a total pain in the ass. So I start physically microdosing probably tonight with legal stuff. And so I have chosen this. I've also chosen to remove myself from meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Okay.
So that means this is how serious I am about the amount of pain that's going on in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to give up my community of 13 years for me not to be in pain.
Mm-hmm.
13 years, because I don't want to be the liar in there that is saying that I'm on a certain path when I am not. I'm not willing to do that to know what it meant for me to walk into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and need to get sober and need for someone to be honest with me and talk to me about the truth. And I cannot be that for someone that needs to get it straight, right?
Yeah.
They need, I have 20 people that I can give them my numbers I've memorized that would be more than happy to help them. Mm-hmm. That I just had to, so that's how serious I am about pain. I'm like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
I am going, we deserve as humans to not be in pain.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. And it plays so well, if you will, into, again, what you've already said, that you are not coming out on the other side the same person you were going in. It just, I know I keep coming back to that, but it just touched me so much to hear you say that. And I am also touched that you are sharing things you have not shared with anyone else here. I love that.
It's okay. So this is a big deal. Like if you go onto my Facebook, like if you're friends with me or whatever, and I think I have 2,000 friends. I mean, I think every real estate agent got a hold of me and like, I'm on friends with all of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to own a home. Right.
Yeah.
But I'll support you. Right. I don't care. I'm like, that's fine. You do you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sell homes. Call my friend Lacey if you want to do the homes. Right.
Yeah.
I love that I have people for that. Like, I don't have to do that. Like, I have a good human that will take care of you for that. Right.
Yep.
I vetted them. So this, going back to your initial question of like, what lights you up? It's literally the acknowledgement of change.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And now coming this on the, like, I'm supposed to go through this.
Yeah.
Not the situations, not the actual, like, this happened there and this happened there. I'm talking about the emotional development.
Yeah.
I was supposed to have that happen at that time in order for me to learn this in somebody else. The whole cup theory, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is just absolutely perfection. This is perfection. This whole entire conversation is. Any parting words for someone who is exploring? Let's get back to the trauma part. Someone who is exploring yoga as a modality for healing. Where to start? I know you touched on it. You mentioned you can probably give me resources that I can link up in the show notes, kind of thing. But you know, it's almost like the reason I'm asking this is I'm thinking back to a conversation that I had with my friend Lisa, where we got to about this point in the conversation. And we're like, okay, how do you choose a therapist? You know, right. It's almost along the same lines. I mean, how do you What's your recommendation for how to make the choice for
Mhm. Um,
what you need as an
right.
individual, as a unique individual?
As a unique individual, we have to trust ourselves, which sounds like, sure, whatever, of course I do, right? But I do it
Mm,
daily where I second guess myself and I go, did I close the front door? Did
yep.
I not? Did I pull on it? Did I not? Right? So, what do we do in that instance? When do we close the door? Okay, do we just drive ourselves crazy or do we get out, go check the door, and then
Mhm.
go back, right? So, where is trusting ourselves?
Mm,
Okay, is it the, what do we define that as? If you're seeking, I feel like the universe, our job is just to seek.
mm,
What comes up and what action we take is what is gonna, that's where our path is gonna go. We're gonna
yeah.
feel what we're supposed to feel when we're gonna feel it, right?
Hmm.
But if you're like, okay, I totally have here, let's take it back one more. I have run out of apples at home and I would like to eat an apple. I'm gonna have to go to the store.
Hmm.
If you have a thing in your gut that tells you, I don't want to go to the store,
Hmm.
that, my friends, is called PTSD.
Mm,
That is trauma.
mm,
That is, don't let anyone diminish it from you. Don't let anyone take it from you. Don't let them write it off and say, that's not enough trauma to be able to call it PTSD. I want
mm.
everyone to fuck all the way off. I don't have the best kind of cancer to get. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's all trauma. So
Yeah.
that inside, when you are doing the little Googles and you are looking up yoga and you are honestly seeking and something comes up to you and you like the name of it, you go and you see the studio and what it looks like on the pictures, and you have that sense of flash dance, right? If any of that happens,
Yeah.
do that.
Do that. Yes,
Do
do that.
that.
Oh my God. Yes, exactly
Right? What
that.
is this whole, like, we're scrolling or we're looking or whatever, and
We
we're
got to
like,
shop around.
hey, what do you think? Oh, what do you think? Fucking, what do you think?
Right.
That's what matters.
Oh my God. Yes, all of that. I actually had an experience recently with that very thing going, okay, this feels great. This feels like the place I need to be. Um, however, I had a whole list of other places to still check out. But I love that you said that because I did. I did think to myself, I'm like, but do you really?
Yeah.
Do you really need to go check out the other places? Or is
No.
this the one? Because
And
it
why?
feels
And
right.
you ready? It's
Oh my
okay
God.
for you to go a couple times
Yeah. and
and
change
not
your
like it
and change your fucking
and
mind.
change it and do something else.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh, magically we get to change. Because
Yes,
that's what we do. It
that's
is
what we do.
literally the law of nature
Yeah,
is change.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so you go to a place and you don't jive with anybody. Go next, right?
yeah.
Maybe you look at one of the chicks that's next to you that looks like she feels just as awkward as you do and go, have you been to any other places? You
Hmm.
might actually have to step out of your comfort zone and like ask another, but that's a great place. I always ask other students at, like, when I'll
Hmm.
go and visit another studio,
Hmm.
like, hey, where else? Oh no, I only go here.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, good to know. Why?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I mean, check it out. And then anybody that already has a yoga practice, please go up to your favorite teacher, compliment them, tell them what you like about them, and then pay for their time.
Yeah.
Please pay for their time. The studio they work for is not paying them.
Yeah.
They are getting paid, right? But
Hmm.
they do not get paid to drive to the studio. They do not get paid to make their classes up. They do not get paid to do any promotion. They get paid maybe $20 to teach the class,
Yeah.
and that is it.
Yeah.
We've got to take care of our teachers, people.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if you like a teacher, say, hey, how do I get some extra time with you?
Hmm.
And then once a week, spend, like, hey, I've got some trauma going on. Do you think you could help me with that?
Yeah.
Either they will say yes or they will say no.
And they will
And
refer
then you
you.
go to the flow chart.
Hopefully, yeah,
If they
hopefully
say
you can.
no, you say thank you very much, move
Mhm.
on. If they say yes, move forward. Ask them if they can meet you for 30 minutes at some time. Ask them if they can just do Zoom, right?
Mhm.
Support your teachers by allowing them to teach to you. They
Mm.
have so much information that
Mhm.
they're not able to give during those corporate yoga classes. That's what I call them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not
Yeah.
available. So
Yeah.
those of you that have PTSD, that are having that anxiety, just going, mine is the CVS. I do not want to go to the drugstore. I do not
Mhm.
want to pick my own drugs up. You guys have no idea how many drugs I have taken. Okay.
Mhm.
I have like total trauma around it. Every time
Mhm.
I ask my husband to pick up the prescriptions, I have trauma around it, right? If
Mhm.
you're having that, pranayama and yoga, which is breathing and movement of the body, can retrain and try to ease the body out of trauma.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a grieving process to getting rid of trauma too, because
Mhm.
we're very that's why we have our baby blankets and that why we have those soothers, and those soothers become the pacifier, right? So we've got to like there's grief to losing our trauma as well.
Yeah.
That's just as hard for me to say I don't have cancer anymore. That's just as hard,
Yeah.
because then who am I?
Yeah.
I don't have cancer anymore. Does that mean I'm better? Because like I
Yeah.
don't feel like I look better. I
Yeah.
don't have boobs.
Don't have any
It's kind
boobs.
of traumatic.
Yeah.
I don't have
I
cancer.
seriously, I know, right.
I don't have cancer. Where do I go now?
Now what?
So I invite your audience to just seek, have the heart of a seeker.
The Heart of a Seeker. Ooh, that sounds like a good title for this episode.
Okay, I
I
love
love
it.
it. Let's do
Love
it.
it. This has
Oh
been
my
so fun.
God. Thank you so much. I absolutely adore you. And
Anytime, my friend.
I know that I know you shared a lot, and
Oh yeah, I'm mouthy
appreciate,
like that.
no, I appreciate everything that you have shared here today. I really do. I acknowledge, I honor the things that you've been through and the things that you have shared with everyone who listens. Ha, it's a beautiful thing. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Ah, how wonderful was that? Of course, Kate and I talked for a bit after, and of course, we ended our official conversation with Namaste, which is loosely translated to "the light in me honors the light in you." I love that word. I truly do. There are so many words in other languages that just resonate, and that is definitely one of them. You can say so much to another human with one word. You really can. We really can. I love so much about our conversation, even though it might seem it was all over the place. It was exactly what it was meant to be. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So I thank you for tuning in. We humans are complex. The notion that we should be a certain way or show up in a certain way, or quite honestly behave a certain way so that everyone else is happy with you, I'm just so over it. Or as Kate so eloquently stated, fuck all the way off. My God, I love her. I think you really start to see how ridiculous it is to live your life as a performance to please others when you face death and you come out on the other side. Maybe not as the same person you entered that path as. That realization that she shared really hit me. So, while we discussed a bit more than yoga as a method to heal, I hope that you found some value and some spark in this conversation between friends who are really just two souls trying to figure this life out. That's all that we are. That's all any of us are. It's everything that we are. Yet, yes, Kate is a local treasure for me. But I want you to follow her Facebook blog. I have linked that up in show notes. Again, it is real, it is raw, it is everything I love. The healing we need is both emotional and physical. Your favorite yoga instructor understands the connection. If you haven't tried it, see if you can find a space locally to do that. Yes, expect that you will be in comparison mode in your head for a bit. Trust me, that fades over time. It truly does. Tune in to yourself and what you truly need. Light up, shine on.